Hey guys, just wanted to hop in here at the beginning of the video and say I'm basically going to spoil the entirety of Borderlands. 1, 2, pre-sequel, 3, Tales. So if that's something you want to avoid, I guess just don't watch this video yet. Yeah, but it's not really a place in the video where something's not being spoiled, so yeah, I'm not apologizing. Just go play the games. Go play the games already. What the hell are you doing? Play the games. Alright, anyways, enjoy. I love magic. Whether it's the flashy kind, like the benders from Avatar, or a more subtle take, like the insidious dark cloud that fogs the minds and hearts of any character who touches a Horcrux from Harry Potter, it always manages to draw me in. I have a desire to understand what I'm seeing most of the time, and in real life, there's always an answer. Whether I learn it through countless hours of rigorous study, or I pull out my phone and give it a quick Google while waiting for my Hot Pocket to finish, there's always a way to satisfy that curiosity. However, it's that satisfaction that ultimately leads me to drop my interest in a subject once the answers are made apparent. I don't get excited to fully know something. I get excited when the opportunity to unravel a mystery presents itself. And with magic, that opportunity is basically unending. Because magic doesn't exist in our world, that means that there are no hard and fast limitations on it. And so anyone writing magic into their stories can take it as far or dial it back as much as they want. Whether it's high fantasy, Sword of a Stone, isekai schlock, or the far-flung future, spacey tech type of magic with teleportation and sentient goo, it's all fiction. Often, the magic systems in these stories are so ubiquitous that the worlds and the characters can't help but to revolve around them. And it makes sense, given that the unlimited storytelling potential I just described tends to create a sort of gravitational well that sucks in everything around it. So now, let's get to what I really want to talk about. Sirens. Sirens are magic users in the most practical literary sense. They are otherwise regular beings who have been granted immeasurable wealths of cosmic power, and basically that's all we get. Remember that well I described? Well, coincidentally, or perhaps consequently, the pull of the magic system tends to lessen the more the characters start to understand how said system works. With Sirens, that's not what's happening. Gearbox gave us a name and a collection of ancient audio logs, but all the information held within just opened up more questions regarding the nature of a particular brand of space magic that Borderlands is known for. The well deepens, culminating in Borderlands 3's story being solely focused on the impact that such a system can have. All that aside, I wanted to explore the role that Sirens have had up to this point of the story, and what I suspect their involvement will entail for the future. First off, it's important to note that I believe that there is an objectively correct way of playing these games. And it's very simple because it all comes down to what character you choose to play as. For Borderlands 1, you pick Lilith. Pretty obvious given how important she is going forward, but I felt it was worth mentioning. Borderlands 2 is another easy one. Seeing how Maya is the only important returning character in 3, there's not really any other narrative reason to play the other characters. You could argue that Krieg would deserve the spot, though in a lot of ways he's also just tied back to Maya. So yeah, play Maya. Pre-sequel heavily implies you should be playing as Athena. The game is told from her point of view, and she's the only one of the Vault Hunters to appear in multiple cutscenes, so that one's kind of a freebie. When we get to 3 though, this is where it gets a little tricky, considering we don't have the benefit of other games to inform us of the motivations of these characters. It gets easier though once you listen to each of the backstory audio logs on Sanctuary.
Amara, my favorite client. Great to see you, baby.
Don't call me baby. I'm the tiger, remember?
Easy, baby. Okay, that was a mistake, Tiger. Tiger, put me down. Listen, I'm your agent. I'm looking out for you, and I'm telling you, you've outgrown Portali. You beat down the gangs, lifted up the people, but there's no one left to fight. Legends gotta keep being written, you know? Be reborn, or they die.
That's why I'm leaving. I've heard of a place sirens are drawn to, and now I feel it too. Pandora.
Pandora? Whew. That's a rough place, babe. Tiger. Lots of fights there. Cannibal bandits, vicious wildlife, even alien stuff.
I know, right? It's perfect.
Amara feels the call of Pandora, and it probably won't surprise you to look at your notes and realize all games with playable sirens are who I rate as being the main characters. I don't believe this was done accidentally either, especially considering that the first person we ever interact with in the game turns out to be a siren. And it's here where I can finally get to what I would call my thesis statement for this video. Sirens are the story. They've had the most impact out of any of the other factions, whether directly or indirectly. And while Jack is undeniably the most popular face of a franchise, his importance to the overall story is dwarfed by the sheer magnitude that is a siren's potential. And he knows this. His daughter, Angel, had to be restrained at a young age after she inadvertently killed her mother, and he spent her entire life making sure she couldn't do the same to him if she wanted to. Even going as far as to develop specific tech to inhibit and control sirens, as seen with the collar he uses on Lilith.
Son.
You bastard! I'm gonna...
Language. What's that saying? Don't pick a fight with a man with nothing left to lose. See, I'm gonna show you just how much you have to lose. And I got the most powerful siren on the planet to do it with. Lilith, kill the Vault Hunter.
All sirens are drawn to Pandora in one way or another. Lilith was a drifter from a young age, but eventually ended up on the planet after deserting countless other ventures. Maya obtains Tannis' echo logs about Pandora while living on Athenas, and is dead set on making her way there. Amara runs out of things to fight on Portali, and the thrill of hunting dangerous enemies instantly grabs her attention, along with the innate pull she mentions feeling. Angel was dragged to the planet's surface by Jack, though there's no rule that says fate has to act kindly. And Tyreen, well, that's where it gets complicated. See, she's definitely a siren, as is made clear by some of Typhon's dialogue once it's revealed he's her father, but the power of the leech was something that was never supposed to be rediscovered.
You're wasting your time. The destroyer's almost here, and when I consume it, I'm gonna be a god. I know you're listening, Dad. Are you proud of your little girl?
Tyreen? Starlight.
What? You weren't gonna tell them, were you, Dad? Oops. Well, Voltz, guess who taught us everything we needed to know to take this galaxy apart piece by piece?
It was through seemingly dumb luck that Typhon and Leda's ship dropped out of transit right near the lost Iridian homeworld of Necrotafeo. However, I don't believe it was luck, given what we know about sirens, and also circling back to what I mentioned about magic systems at the beginning, in that they consistently warp the story to fit around them. The powers they inherit seem to be entirely different entities than the women who wield them, so it's not too much of a stretch to imagine that Nereid trapping the leech in a vault for thousands of years might have pissed it off a little bit. And Nereid's description of the braid, an ethereal winding cord that connects each siren to the other, could lend itself to suggesting that the powers themselves are capable of influencing fate when in need of a host. Hence Typhon's ship breaking down right where the leech needed it to. If magical artifacts patiently manipulating the fabric of the universe and calling free will into question sounds familiar, that's because it's been done before. The One Ring is exactly the same concept as the leech in this theory, an eldritch artifact lying in wait for the chance to ingrain itself into a vessel. willing or otherwise. Typhon and Leda deciding to get it on after uncovering the vault on Necrotafeo might as well have been a bright blinking neon arrow to the leech. So once it managed to hitch a ride on baby Tyrene, we can imagine how much stronger the influence it could exert might be. Dark, angry, celestial powers attached to a girl being fed Iridian secrets by her ex-Vault Hunter father is like the perfect recipe for a messed up kid in my opinion. So it's no wonder she not only knows every step needed to reopen Pandora and free the Destroyer, we also understand why she'd be willing to do it, given the sense of betrayal the leech would likely have felt. With Tyrene's death taking place outside of a vault, however, one has to wonder where the leech ended up, or if it'll be the same when we see it again.
Just because there are always 6 doesn't mean they always stay the same. There's something different coming.
I would attribute this persistent memory of the powers to another very popular piece of media with a similar concept. That's Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Force from Star Wars is also very close to matching the sirens of Borderlands. However, there's one glaring distinction that holds it back from being exactly one-to-one, and that's that the Force is a weave that anyone has the potential to interact with, while the sirens and the Avatar are much more of an exclusive club, requiring that they are first chosen before they're allowed to interact with their universe's respective magic systems. The Avatar can feel and even interact with his past selves to a degree, and Ava's breathy exclamation of Maya upon defeating Troy and receiving her markings, another similarity, is reminiscent of Aang and his ability to seek the advice of the former Avatars. However, unlike our favorite air nomad, Ava shows no hesitation or even a remote speck of thoughtful consideration when it comes to using her powers. So, what have we got so far? I talked about how much I adore magic and fantasy. I mentioned the ability of magic to create an inescapable black hole when it comes to storytelling. Hell, I even compared Tolkien's masterpiece, The Lord of the Rings, to a second-rate sci-fi universe, where guns are currency and mega corporations decide the fate of their employees, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading those comments. I think the last thing I want to bring up here before I end this video is that showing growth when it comes to magic is inherently going to be difficult for the writer. Remember, magic isn't real. And so while that comes with a ton of advantages, as I just spent the last 10 minutes or so talking about, it also comes with a massive downside to balance it out. There's no good way to show a character getting better at magic. Now, this may sound dumb, why not just show them practicing? That's the most obvious solution that comes to mind, right? Well, what is practice when it comes to magic? A lot of depictions show characters in their downtime training, such as Luke wearing the blast visor and trying to deflect shots from that hovering OSHA violation, or Aragorn muttering magic words and sweating while trying to lift a rock with his mind like the galaxy brain Chad he is. All of these manage to convey the struggle we experience when trying to improve at something, but it's impossible to connect on anything more than a surface level. So to get around this, writers will often give their mages an alien quality to signal to the audience that this person is different somehow. Going back to Aragorn, in the later books his physical form literally changes to reflect his growth as a mage, and serves to separate him from the normies. The reason I bring this up is because Borderlands manages to kind of cheat the system when it comes to showing his sirens growing. Since we can't understand what the sirens really feel, any attempt at a standard training montage or awakening arc could come off as somewhat disingenuous, and likely would result in a very similar public opinion to when The Force Awakens showed Rey go from not knowing what the Force is to abusing the absolute shit out of it in the course of a 2-hour runtime. I have no problem with Rey. I like her character. But as a long-standing Star Wars fan, I am not about to let that one go. Instead, Borderlands uses a much easier, yet arguably more effective, time skip to show their sirens' progress. By hand-waving the details and just getting to the parts that the writers want to show, it leaves it up to the audience to fill in the blank spaces. Sure, you'll likely come across instances or side bits that help to fill those gaps, but in general, it's left to the imagination. And imagination is probably the best tool a writer has when dealing with magic systems. I mean, magic itself is imaginary, so it's kind of a round peg, round hole situation for me. So that's going to be it for me today. I hope you learned something, and if you did, leave a comment, let me know what it was. If you enjoyed listening to me spout out a bunch of nonsense again, then please consider subbing to the channel. It really helped me out with getting to that 100 sub milestone, where we can finally get that sweet, sweet custom URL. If you're just here for Borderlands stuff and you want to see more, I stream Borderlands every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday on Twitch. There's a link in the description. This video is going out on a Saturday, so I'm probably live right now, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and what you'd like to see more of in the future. Anyways, I'm out.
Tired of the bottom of her shoe. Anna was a freak, we had a lot of fun at first. Had it locked down for months, then the hunt went berserk. At first thought it was love, but the bubble got burst. The slut fucked car while I was at work, but that's life. That's what all the people say.